in what amount of time. So for each of these things, there is a mathematical answer, but again, I think your opinions, when it comes to people getting promoted in certain ways, when it comes to people taking a certain track in the department, career track in the department, I think your opinions could have an influence on that. But we're at performance review time, and isn't it about what the person has achieved? You know, if you don't care for their personality, but they've been a great achiever for you, I say learn to love them. You know, I mean, it's so hard to find people that will have the ethic and the drive to perform up to the standards you would like to perform. And we're all different. Not everybody's going to be like you. So, you know, again, for me, those things, it's not that they're not important. They are important. But I think things like work ethic can be measured differently. Did you want to add something to that, Cheryl?
I don't think so. I guess we just need to take all that, the behavioral part out of it.
Yeah, that needs to be revised, absolutely.
And then you would say, like, if someone's, you know, like really low on their square footage, then you would address it in that way, that maybe the hours aren't being met because your square footage, or so you'd look at harvest and just make it more objective rather than your opinion.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I mean, if somebody can work 9 to 5 and meet their objectives, God bless them. I'd rather they put in an extra hour or two and go above their objectives. But, you know, everybody's different. And it's just like in when we get over to discussing leadership, there is no profile on a leader's personality. There's no one consistent profile on a leader's personality. There are many, many different types of leadership. Now, that doesn't mean that certain types of leaders aren't better in different types of situations, in different companies, but they come in all shapes and forms. We don't have to be robotic here. I mean, each of you can be a leader with your own style, but the tenets of how you do these things, you should have that knowledge, and you should be executing with that knowledge. And again, it will save you so much emotional grief in terms of having to do your reviews and being objective. You have data that is not arguable, and it's data that you and somebody else have agreed upon.
But how do you deal with somebody who has a bad attitude?
Beat them.
Beat them?
You'd have to tell me. You'd have to tell me how you discern what is it that's bad about their attitude.
I don't know. I'm just thinking if somebody's just negative, maybe negative. They're just negative about everything.
And how does that manifest itself?
It brings everybody else down. It makes everybody else feel negative, and then morale goes down, and then nobody's happy.
Okay, well, I would say if you have somebody that it's well known and documented through other people that that's the case, that you should be taking them on a one-on-one and talking to them that they are having that effect, and that you know, they may not be able to. You don't have to make threats, but you know how to do it.
It just doesn't need to happen in a performance review. It
No.
just needs to be addressed
No.
when it happens.
No.
Okay.
I mean, if they're great at everything, but they do bring everybody down, that's serious. I mean, this is not just about production. This is about measuring your achievement. But being an employee here is not just about production or achievement, objective achievement. If you think they're destructive to the organization, then that's a leader's duty to talk to that person, try to get them to turn around. Unfortunately, I will tell you that in my many years of being an employer, behavioral issues are really tough to change. I don't wanna get sidetracked. We can save that for another day. Okay, now,
Can I ask a
Yeah,
question? Do we, at the present time, have published goals that we are in the process of meeting?
Production
for
goals?
For you,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Yeah,
Where do I
You don't have
find
them
those?
yet.
they just haven't been given to you yet. Soon.
How will I know whether I'm meeting my goals if I don't have them?
You'll have them in 2 weeks.
Okay.
I mean, you know, really, the company, department by department, is starting to pick up from the shambles of the last 4 or 5 years and get organized again and try to do things like this. We let so many programs and policies and procedures just go right down the tubes because we were struggling to keep our heads above the water. And so we're trying to change that now and bring back some learning and teaching, and hopefully that you'll find useful. And I think it's very important for me to tell you that when you give a performance review, your job is far from over in that regard, because you cannot wait until performance review time to give a person feedback. You know, if you're silent while negative performance is happening, then you're by omission approving that behavior. You wait 11 months and then you tell somebody, you know, and they're going to say, well, why, you know, even you didn't say anything to me for 11 months. How come all of a sudden? You must give people feedback both on the positive and negative sides. If you don't reinforce behavior when somebody's done something positive, that's a horrific mistake. You know, people need, in addition to monetary recognition, plain recognition. That was a great job. It reinforces that behavior. So we want you, with all of your staff, and especially after you go through your own review and objectives with Cheryl, to provide that feedback to your staff on a regular basis. And remember, this is, when you provide that feedback, you're being objective. We don't want you, if you have something, even whether you're saying something good or saying something negative, your demeanor when you're doing this type of thing should be very professional. You know, you may work with somebody every day, but don't mistake that for friendship. And if you are working with somebody you think is a friend, you should probably switch with somebody else. This is not about friendship, and friendship makes it very, very difficult to be frank and honest in your review. If you can't be that, you know, if you have something to say where you want some improvement from a person, and you spend 15 minutes telling them how great they are, and then 5 about the issue you really wanted to talk to them about, they will not get that message. Be clear about, not harsh, not you don't want to, you know, take somebody down, but be clear about what's the issue is. Be clear about what your expectations are. That's called fairness. That will get you respect. And what you want in your positions is respect. You don't need to be loved here. You can be loved outside of here. You want respect from the people that work for you. And respect, fairness, breeds loyalty. If you know that you're working for a supervisor or a company that rewards the people that should be rewarded, that doesn't reward the people that shouldn't be rewarded, you're gonna, unless there's something else terribly wrong, you're gonna like working for an organization like that. You'll you'll like working for a person like that. So that's what you should be striving to be, fair and respected. Yeah, another thing about not talking about poor performance on a current basis is most of the time it just produces anxiety in you because you're carrying around with it. You want to say something, but you don't want to get into a confrontation. You don't want. Well, there is no confrontation if it's factual. That's not a confrontation. You get somebody in your office and say, "Well, you're not working hard." That doesn't mean anything.
Maybe not today, but down the road. In this little group, could we role play some of these
Sure.
examples?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that we could just have make-believe conversations?
We should definitely do that, yep. Okay, in your performance review, remember, the main purpose, in addition to assessing where the employee's at, aligning your goals with that, is setting future goals. That's the main purpose. I mean, if you're not gonna be letting somebody go, that's the main purpose, what you want. So be sure to give yourself adequate time to discuss future goals. And be sure that you have really given that some strong thought in terms of goals should be set based on one of three things. They should either be set based on what the job description calls for, what you would like to see them improve in, specific to them, or what you would like to see them not necessarily improve, but focus on because they've shown a particular skill that you want to enhance.
How do we do that? I guess what I'm trying to say is, how do we assess the employee's desire to set goals for himself
Talk to them.
prior to all this?
Oh, yeah, we'll get into that, yes.
Okay.
They have to know what their goals are in order to reach them.
Yes.
And you have to know where they're going. I mean, where they want to go.
So I think that's a good segue to just jumping over to how to prepare for your interview, because you're talking about a lot of the things that you need to do. So the first and most important thing when you're getting ready to prepare for your interview is come prepared to listen, and never address someone with anger or demeaning or prosecutorial in a demeaning manner. But most importantly, come to listen. You really want to understand where the employee is coming from before you assert your opinion. If you come in there with your mind made up already, you won't even hear what they have to say. And that's a mistake as an employer, as a manager. It's a big mistake. Maybe your opinion won't change, but listen, it doesn't cost you anything but some time, and it gives that person an outlet, and you may learn something that you didn't realize before. Cheryl and I have talked about this many times. A key to being a good manager and or a good leader is asking questions. Ask a lot of questions, especially focused on the areas that you'd like to understand, perhaps those behavioral issues. Second one was ask a lot of questions to learn and understand before stating your own assessment. So just talk about that. Keep your demeanor professional, not time for laughter or persecution. Stay away